This is Finland's brand new high-speed train, the Pendolino Plus, featuring a stylish new interior with an improved first-class experience. But these trains also have a very controversial past, as Finland basically stole them from Russia, sort of. So join me for a ride aboard this new high-speed train on a beautiful snowy journey heading north, as we check out this exciting new train and why its ownership is so controversial. Good morning from here, just outside of Helsinki Central Railway Station. Today we'll be catching Finland's brand new high-speed train service up to Oulu. These trains have a very interesting backstory, with the trains themselves basically being stolen from Russia. It's a lot more complicated with that, and I'll explain in more detail later, but for now, let's get the journey started. It's a freezing morning here in Helsinki, with temperatures plummeting below -10 degrees Celsius. Helsinki has one of Europe's most recognizable main stations, with the iconic lantern-bearer sculptures watching over the front of the station. The station building dates back to 1919, and even over 100 years later, the building still looks great, complete with its beautiful chandeliers. Here you used to be able to find the station's main facilities, including the ticket office, but nowadays you'll only find a few food outlets as well as a passageway to the underground metro plaza. Heading further into the station building, you'll find a few more retail outlets, but many were closed due to renovation works. In the western wing of the station, you'll find a few more station facilities, including one of the very few remaining ticket offices in all of Finland. But this one has very limited hours, as ticketing these days is mostly done online. Heading through to the main train shed, we will find a display of most passenger rolling stock in use in Finland, parked here awaiting their next duties. Suburban services are mostly operated using the Stadler Flirt units, with the boxier SM4 trains taking care of longer regional routes. For intercity and long-distance work, you'll find these older generation Pendolino trains from Italy, as well as Finland's iconic and absolutely huge double-decker carriages, being pulled around by strong electric locomotives like this Siemens Vectron. And here comes the new kid on the block, our Pendolino Plus high-speed train. These trains might visually look similar to Finland's older generation Pendolino trains, but don't be fooled by their appearance, as this small subfleet of just 4 trains are actually based on the new Pendolino technology, but built into the old body shell of the former generation. They were manufactured by Alstom in Italy around 2010 and are capable of 220 km per hour, with our train carrying the nickname Aurora. The trains were originally ordered for the now terminated Allegro service between Helsinki and St. Petersburg, and were owned by a 50-50 joint venture between the Russian and Finnish railway companies, which is where the controversy behind these trains come from. We'll get into that later, but now our train is ready for boarding. Today I'm traveling in Ekstra Plus, which is a brand new first-class product that was introduced along with the rebrand and refurbishment of these trains just a couple of months ago. Right, let's get on board and check out this new offering from the Finnish Railways. Ekstra Plus comes in an expected 2+1 layout, featuring these comfortable looking seats in a brown leather-like material. And here's my forward-facing solo seat for today's trip. Luggage can be stored on the rack above every seat, and larger bags can go in the racks by the doors. Also, check out this cool private meeting room right behind my seat. This can be booked for an additional surcharge, perfect for, well, having a meeting, or if you just want to travel in privacy with your family or friends. In general, these trains are equipped with a lot of cool seating options, which we'll make sure to check out later. But now, our train is ready to depart Helsinki, which today is a minute behind schedule at 10:21. And just like that, we begin our 5-hour-long journey north to Oulu as we head out of central Helsinki. A couple of minutes later, we make our first station stop at Pasila, which is an important shoulder station just in the north of the city. And with our journey now well underway, let's take a closer look at the route map for today's trip. We are catching train number 33 from Helsinki, which is one of the fastest northbound train services, only making select station stops. The whole journey is 681 kilometers long and is scheduled to take 5 hours and 25 minutes to reach Oulu, giving the train an average speed of 126 kilometers per hour. We are now heading for our last stop in the Helsinki area, speeding past the many suburban stations served by the Flirt multiple units. Next up, we make our last station stop in the Helsinki area, which is here at Tikkurila. Our train will now run non-stop for over 1 hour to Tampere, which is Finland's second largest city. However, things aren't exactly going as planned. Due to Trackworks, our train is currently waiting to pass through a single track section, with our train then having to cross over to the southbound track once it becomes available. Then we continue at a slowed pace while we clear the work zone. And as we cross back over to the northbound track, our train can finally begin to accelerate up to some serious speed. Right, let's finally take a look at the seat we'll be spending the next 5-ish hours in up to Oulu. It features a large headrest, which unfortunately I found a bit too firm. It also wasn't very adjustable. The seat itself features comfortable ergonomic shaping with a good balance of padding. Overall, I found it pretty comfortable. Below the padded armrest you'll find 2 cup holders as well as more power outlets. And it's great that these are available at every seat now instead of just by the window wall, as they were very awkward to use if sitting in an aisle seat. The seat's other features include a large metallic tray table, which also features a groove to hold your device. And I found the table itself to be sturdy. Legroom here in first class is pretty good, and there's also an adjustable footrest as well as this small storage pocket. A generous amount of recline is also offered, making the seat even more comfortable for relaxation. And of course you'll also find standard features like window blinds as well as multiple coat hooks. Although one of my coat hooks were unfortunately already broken. I think these are the best first class seats on Finnish rails at the moment, but you have to remember they are being sold as a premium first class product. The regular extra class or first class, which we'll check out later, I would actually say is quite a big downgrade on these trains. I'll get back to that a little later in the video, as it turns out our train is once again slowing down. Turns out the slower, regular Pendolino service in front of us is running around 30 minutes behind schedule, so we will be chasing red and yellow signals all the way to Tampere. So I went to take advantage of the other extra class feature, which is the complimentary self-service coffee and tea area. I actually really like this about first class travel in Finland. It's a relatively small thing extra to offer, but it just makes the whole experience a lot more pleasant. We are now finally approaching Tampere, running around 23 minutes behind schedule because of this guy. Tampere is an important connection point for long distance rail travel, with the late Pendolino service now heading off east to Seinäjoki, and this Vectron locomotive that's currently trying to race us will be heading off to Poi. Right, so let's finally talk about why these trains are so controversial. The 4 Pendolino trains from the former Allegro service were owned by a 50-50 joint venture between the Finnish and Russian railways through the Helsinki-based company Karelian Trains. After the Russian invasion of Ukraine in 2022, the Helsinki to St. Petersburg service was suspended, with the trains being parked in Finland. Karelian Trains then later came into financial trouble and faced bankruptcy, so the Finnish operator VR paid off its loans and used that as a legal claim to seize control of the trains and eventually put them into domestic service. The Russian railways strongly disagreed with this, saying they were willing to pay and resume the international Allegro service, calling the entire move unlawful, with the trains effectively from a Russian point of view being stolen. But the Finns retaliated, saying that the negotiations had stalled, and with bankruptcy imminent, paying off the debt gave them the legal right to seize control of the trains. So here we are in 2026 with them being put back into service on domestic routes in Finland after a refurbishment program. So let's go and check out the refurbished train interior. Below Extra Plus class we have regular Extra class, which disappointingly comes in a 2+2 layout, unlike the rest of Finland's long distance trains. But you still get the free self-service complimentary hot drinks like on the other long-distance trains. It's also by the Extra class area you will find the train's accessible seating as well as the accessible toilet. Perhaps more disappointingly is that the seats in Extra class are exactly the same ones as found in Standard class, so I would stick with Extra Plus if you want a real first class experience on board this new train. That said, however, the seats do look pretty good as a Standard class product. On board the train you'll also find the refurbished dining car, which I personally think looks great. However, I opted to try a whole new dining option on today's train, more on that later. Other cool features on board the train include a few small 1 and 2 person private compartments which can be booked for an additional surcharge, as well as a small playground for kids and these cool phone booths. I really like these phone booths on board Finnish trains. Not only are they great if you need to have a phone call and are sitting in Extra class, which is a quiet zone, if you're a YouTuber like me who makes vlogs on the go sometimes, then you can go do it in peace here without disturbing other passengers. And before I forget, let's check out the toilets. As you would expect for a newly refurbished train, these were in good condition. The flush was working without issue. Same for the water, although the sensor was a little annoying to get working. There was also plenty of paper towels and toilet paper, so overall this was a functional and clean toilet. We are now calling at Seinäjoki, an industrial town that specializes in Finland's food production and development. It's also got a fairly important railway station, with the line towards the coastal town of Vaasa branching off here. And as I was starting to feel a little hungry by now, I decided to take advantage of the new at-seat meal service in Extra Plus. You do have to pre-book this online before departure, but if they have any extra meals available, you can also order from the staff on the day. Honestly, I have to say I was a little disappointed with this. The food itself was tasty, but the portion felt quite small, and serving it in this cheap plastic packaging, it just looks like something I could have grabbed myself from a supermarket before getting on the train. And it's not exactly cheap either, coming in at 15 euros. For that price you can basically get a large portion of freshly prepared meatballs from the restaurant car, and that will be served on a proper plate. I think in my mind I was just hoping for something a little closer to SJ's pre-order meals in first class, where you get a full tray with a main dish, a side salad, a dessert and a soft drink served in actual tableware for around 16 euros. I just wish they did something a little more with this meal service, especially given there's already a great kitchen on board the train, and on the Allegro you got a whole meal tray complimentary in first class. Anyway, our journey continues heading north, and so far I have to say I've had a great time on board the train. The seat itself is pretty comfortable, and the views of the snow-covered landscape is just beautiful. And enjoying it from the comfort of a warm train with unlimited hot drinks sure is a great way to get around. Our train is also equipped with free Wi-Fi, but I couldn't get this to work despite my 5G working without any issue. And if you prefer old-fashioned entertainment, well, you're out of luck because the reading light doesn't work either. Another thing that doesn't work anymore is the train's tilting system, which would have allowed it to travel through curves faster, but that was disabled during the refurbishment. And if you were hoping to see the train reach its maximum speed of 220 km per hour, well, you're also out of luck, because they can only run that speed between Helsinki and Lahti, and the trains are currently deployed on select services up to Oulu and Turku. We are now making our penultimate stop at Ylivieska, still running with a delay of around 25 minutes. As the line north of Tampere is mostly single track, it's hard for our train to make up time as we have to fit around other train traffic coming south. So, what do I think about the Pendolino Plus? Well, I thought overall it was quite nice. The interior is calm and cozy, and the Extra Plus seats are comfortable. Of course, there were a few things that could be improved, but overall, I feel like it's a nice addition to Finland's pretty good fleet of comfortable long-distance trains. It is certainly better having them back in long-distance train traffic domestically than them sitting around doing nothing, even if the way here was controversial. So, as we now approach Oulu, let's talk about train tickets. They vary based on demand and time of booking. I managed to secure a ticket for just under 53 euros booked around 2 months in advance. And I think this is pretty good value for a 5.5 hour long journey in a comfortable first class train cabin. So, what do you think of the Pendolino Plus, and how would you rank it against the double-deckers and the regular Pendolino? Let me know in the comments down below. Thanks again for joining me in this video, and if you liked it, make sure to subscribe to the channel as I try to post a new video every Sunday. And if you want to give the channel a little extra support, consider joining the membership program to get exclusive travel updates as well as early access to my videos. To continue your journey, why not watch my video on Denmark's newest international express train by clicking the card on screen now. And thanks again for watching.